Hello, welcome back to my channel. I did a video recently where I showed all of my Christmas/holiday palettes for this time of year. I've narrowed it down to 5. Now, technically there are 7 in this stack, but 2 of these go with other palettes, so I'll explain that a little bit more. But my top 5 holiday palettes. Now, I'm calling it holiday because I have one in here that I have consistently used over and over for New Year's. So we'll talk about that. I figured it might be helpful to go a little bit more in depth with the ones that I use the most, why. I'll swatch some of the shades, all of that good stuff. That sounds interesting. Stick around. If you're new, welcome. Make sure you are subscribed if you're not already. And yeah, let's jump into the video. Scooch my chair in a little bit. I got everything ready in a hurry, so I'm a little bit winded, but yes, get a beverage, get something to drink. I'm going to get my wet wipes out. I have my list of my videos that I need to film today, and let's jump in. These are not in any particular order, but the 2 that are like duos are at the end, so we'll do those at the very end. Let's do the New Year's one first. We're going a little bit out of order, and then we'll do the Christmas palettes. The one that I have used the most is probably the Huda Beauty Smoke Obsessions. Now, before this, I probably used the Jaclyn Hill, the original Morphe palette, the bigger one that she did, the white one. The packaging was white. And then once I got this kind of took over. I think this is back in stock. This is one of those little Huda Beauty. This is the Smoke Obsessions. They had like discontinued this, and then people complained, and I think they brought it back for a while. You can get this on Poshmark and like Macari still if you can't find it. Mine's a little bit messy. This is one of my most used palettes, probably the one that I travel with quite frequently. I stopped traveling with it when you couldn't get it anymore, just because a couple of people's, like this shade down here, exploded on people. I'm not sure why. And then like this shade looks like it's starting to like separate a little bit in the pan, where it was like lifting up. You probably won't be able to see it, but anyways, I did stop traveling with it, but that is why mine is so messy. But you can see the 2 colors. As far as the shimmers that I use the most is the silver and the pink, and then it's just exactly what it sounds like. It's a smoky eye. So typically for New Year's, I will do the silver and the pink, which tends to be the colors that I reach for as far as the shimmers most of the time. And then the mattes that are in here are just really, really nice. I'm trying to look at it. Seems like the black maybe is cracked a little bit, but again, I did see some people just have issues with it sitting in the drawer, so hence why I stopped traveling with it. But that's why mine is so messy, because I used to travel with it all the time. It's used a lot, those 2 shimmer shades. I mean, obviously it's messy. Most of my palettes are not this messy. I don't know why they're very flaky, so they just get all over. But I tend to do a classic smoky eye with a silver on New Year's. So this has been the most used palette for that. And then sometimes I will add either a silver glitter, either an Urban Decay or something along that lines, just to add some extra sparkle, but it's not necessary with this. So that is probably my most reach for palette for New Year's. And then for Christmas palettes, again, these are not in order. So to start off with is Sleigh Bell from Laura Lee Los Angeles. I don't think this one is still available anymore. I don't know why she stopped doing these little 6-pan palettes. I think this one's really good. I know there was some complaints with the neon one, the Party Animal, I think is what it was called. Now, as you'll notice, the pink, there's been some seeping from the shade onto the cardboard. There's nothing wrong with the shimmer. I think the only shade in here that I've never used is Jolly, which is this like blue silver, but you can see the green has a pretty big dip in it. So we'll swatch that. And then the pink and the gold are really pretty. I've used both of those. And then the two mattes. I generally like to do a classic like red and green with, what is this, cherry chocolate shade, which is super pigmented. Let's swatch the shimmers. I wish she would bring this back because it's really pretty. It's really nice. And the green is more of like a metallic, and it looks really nice if you have, again, like a Urban Decay silver. You can put, or even gold, depending on which way. I obviously do green and gold more, hence why I've never used Jolly. But the red in here a little bit goes a long way, which is why it looks like I've never used it. It feels really dry in the pan, but it goes on the eye fine, and it's very pigmented. A little bit goes a long way. It's really easy to blend. I don't know why that shade feels so dry, and mine's older. It always kind of felt a little bit dry. It's just something with the formula, but I never had issues with it on the brush. And again, I think it was like a limited edition holiday palette. I wish she would bring this one back because it's still really good. And again, I have seen it used on like Poshmark and Macari. So if you're interested and you can snag it, I still like it. I still reach for it. It's just a nice, easy, again, little 6-pan palette. Another one that I use a lot, and this is probably my favorite of these like Too Faced in the tin, is the original Gingerbread Spice. Now I tend to do very non-traditional like Christmas looks with this with like the plum and the hot pink. A lot of people complained about the Frostbite shade being, it's a little bit flaky. It is a little bit crumbly. I use a glitter glue with it, but it looks really pretty on the lid if you can get like a sticky base underneath it. I've never had any issues with it, and I've always gotten compliments when I wear this. Mine kind of smells like a sugar cookie. I would say like the gingerbread smell is gone, but this is, again, my favorite in the tin. Reach for it all year, not just during Christmas, but this is one of my favorite go-tos. Okay, and then I have Christmas Morning and the ColourPop Rudolph palette. Now, I got this one last year. I've had Christmas Morning longer than that, but this is one, I've used it on its own, but I don't reach for it a ton by itself. Just because I like, it's pigmented, but it's not as pigmented as this. Now, the Christmas Morning from Give Me Glow is super pigmented, and these shades are difficult to blend out on their own, hence why I like to use them together. But this green in here, these are very flaky, so you definitely need to put a base down, but it's a green like duochrome. It's so pretty. The red in here is, I'm not a huge like metallic red eyeshadow wearer, but that's really pretty. And then the gold in here, like the gold, all the silver is pretty too. I'll swatch it. And this palette is still available. You can still get it, but do be warned, the mattes are no joke. So that is why I like to use the ColourPop palette with it. So since I've gotten the Rudolph palette, I've gotten the most use out of it using it with other palettes like this, because that is a complaint that I've seen people with the Give Me Glow. The mattes are super pigmented. You can blend them out on their own, but it does help having a palette like this. And then it's got shades that I can pretty much, because even the gray that's in here, there's a taupe in this, so this works perfectly alongside this. So that is how I like to use that. And then this is probably right now like my most favorite palette in my collection. I use it all year, but this is definitely one that I like to use this time of year. I got this last year for Christmas. This is the Merry Christmas palette from Odin's Eye. It is a Christmas palette with a twist. So you do have the reds and the greens, but they're a little bit grungy, not traditional like red and green. But let me swatch. What is it? New Year. It's a really pretty green. And then one of my favorite shades in here is Snowman. It's a pretty like duochrome. And then Elf Wish is also like a pretty multi-chrome. There's some really neat shimmers. Now this palette is available. They did bring this one and their Christmas Eve palette back this year. You can see the shift with the elf wish with the pink. And then Snowman is like a duochrome. It's just a really neat palette. And then I use, what is it? Bless, which is a pink, hot pink duochrome, which is also really pretty alongside that one, the Elf Wish. Yeah, Elf Wish. I took this when we went up to Flagstaff. Was it like a week or two ago for the North Pole experience with the kids? And I took a couple of palettes, but this is the only one that I ended up using. It's just a really fun palette. Again, I reach for it all year long. And then I figured I would mention, this was the companion. These are the two they launched last year. They did bring both of them back. Again, they are still available. So this is the Christmas Eve palette. So it's more blue with some yellow. If you don't like this and you like Gourmand Girls, they just released, it's called the Silent Night palette, almost identical color story with the blue and the yellows. So if you don't like Odin's Eye and you like Gourmand Girls formula better, very similar color story. I am not going to pick it up because I bought this one. And again, it's almost an identical color story. And I don't use blues a lot, which is why last year I had to pick one. I couldn't get both. I ended up with the Merry Christmas. So I got this one this year. They are not planning on bringing these two back next year from what I have heard. So if you're interested in either or both of these, I would get them while they're still available. But again, this is one of my favorite palettes ever in my collection. So I figured I would mention the companion if you like more of a blue color story. So I'm excited to have that and play with it. So yeah, those are my absolute top favorite Christmas palettes and the ones that I use the most frequent, the ones I reach for, want to use the most. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I think that's all I have. Again, make sure you're subscribed. We're going to be getting into some declutter videos coming up, so you won't want to miss out on those. Again, thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye, everybody.